Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Need on Twitter. You can find me at almost had it, CB Caps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And that sound effect you heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, @agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram.
What's up, everybody?
Nice. Actually, I had another one. I went down a hip hop hole this weekend, or this week, and I thought about another one for you. I had to remember what that was. Anywho, this is the Comic Book Chronicles. Again, you can find us at the Coles of the Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coles of the Podcast Network's SoundCloud page.
Make sure to hit like and subscribe and to leave us all the good 5-star reviews.
Yeah. You could also find us recording normally every Thursday night. We are coming to you on a Saturday night for for reasons.
For life. Life happens, folks.
Yeah, pretty much things happened. And if you hear me coughing throughout the thing, my apologies. I'll try to keep that down a little bit. But, normally Thursday nights, 9:30-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel of the Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/the Kliq Nation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. All right, folks, we're going to get into the recap of She-Hulk Episode 2. And since we are recording on a Saturday, we're going to get spoilery.
Right. Still going to ring the spoiler bell if you have not yet watched She-Hulk Episode 2. What's the title of this episode?
Superhuman Law.
Superhuman Law. Be warned, spoilers are definitely incoming, and we're coming in hot in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. So, given the events at the end of last episode where She-Hulk was revealed to the world.
I was about to say, it's the big premiere reveal of the character, the hero, and the secret identity is no longer an issue.
Right. Which, this is one of those few cases in the MCU where it's like, you know what, we're fine with this because we knew she was already a public she was a public identity anyway.
Relatively so, yeah, exactly. But
right.
Now much more in the spotlight.
Right, but what I'm saying is, like, you know how Peter Parker keeps a secret identity in the comics, but in the MCU, and pretty much everybody in the MCU doesn't have a secret identity because, like, a gang of people knows it. Hers was, yeah, I'm saying that for other people, not for you, but Jennifer Walters, our She-Hulk persona in the comics is already a public persona, and this was her coming out in the MCU. So this is, like I said, this is one of those situations where it doesn't matter that much because of it. So unfortunately, it does matter.
And she couldn't practice law under the name of She-Hulk anyway. That's the kicker. I mean, that's my point of view.
No, you're right. You're right. And actually, we're going to get into it because it kind of leans into something that's slightly reversed from the comics in that. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, so it comes to find out that, and I guess I'm going to cut ahead just a bit, public thing comes out, you get this news thing to where this dude's the eyewitness on the street gets talked to by the news person, and this is where she gets named by two dudes. You know, you mean Chick Hulk? No, you mean She-Hulk? Exactly. I was like, that was so silly, but I was like, all right, I see what they did there. That was pretty good. But also the irony is not lost because, like I said, she's being named by some dudes. So she ends up with her best friend at what is this called? The legalese? Which I guess, hey, if that's
It's a big pun, folks.
yes, it is.
It's the legal ease bar, EASE.
Indeed, which I'll ask you about something after later about the stuff like that. But so yeah, and they're talking, and people are outside chanting She-Hulk, and Jen's like, I don't want all this publicity, I'm studied law, and you've seen the trailers where she's talking about the Avengers as for adult orphans and narcissists and all that kind of business. That part kind of comes into play here because her friend asks if she's going to be an Avenger, and that kind of comes up. But I guess long story short, she gets fired from her old job because her old boss comes in and talks to her. She gets fired from her old job because of the fact that GLH and GLK&H had the case turned to a mistrial because of the fact that she saved the people during the trial, which kind of went against her the case. So she's out of a job, but no, it's not even but. She's out of a job, and then we see her going to a montage of her trying to find other jobs, but of course that's not happening because her being a public persona,
not being public, her being a Hulk, and that really was playing against her in this case until it stops playing against her.
Right. So, but yes, that being which is basically what I was trying to say.
Right.
Yeah, so what didn't happen until it did happen when the person that pretty much got her first fired in the first place comes to offer her a job, and that would be one Holloway. I can't remember his first name. Holden Holloway. Excuse me, that's his name. Holden Holloway, who's one of the partners from GLK&H. Excuse me. Who comes and offered a job. He was the one who was on the other side of her case. So Jennifer's like, wait, you're the one that got me fired, now you want to hire me? And of course he does, because he's starting up a superhero law practice, law division, and he wants her there as the She-Hulk. Now this is different from the comic because while this similar scene played out, even with the drunkenness of this, because they were in a bar, happened, he wanted Jen Walters, not She-Hulk in the comics. So that's the different the difference in this. Obviously, so what?
Yeah. That's the difference in the adaptation.
Right. So, and I guess I get it because it's like, okay, so this is going to be how Jen is going to become quite comfortable in her She-Hulk persona, as opposed to in the comics where she already was at the time a similar thing happened. So, nevertheless, she thought about it for a second. Actually, she didn't think about it for a second. She just took the joint. But this was before she found out that Holloway wanted She-Hulk and not Jen Walters, which she found out, I believe, the next day when she went into work. She also got her. Jen's also a good friend because she got her friend, her best friend, the paralegal, the job there. You don't find too many friends like that. Like she was like instantly like, no, I get to hire my own paralegal. Like, boom, bringing my friend along. There you go. So anyway, she gets into work the next day. We see the plays. We didn't see any in the comics. Normally, we would have seen a lot of superheroes or somebody rolling around, but we didn't. Obviously, this is MCU, so it's not going to happen just like that. We're probably going to start getting into that the next episode. But he was showing her around, and she was breaking the fourth wall, and we saw the room with the comics in it, which is straight from the comic books. And then she got caught out there with a question because she was pretty much monologuing how it's unfair that she got the job because of She-Hulk and not because of Jen Walters, And then she ends up asking the question. She gets introduced to her office, and then, which is a nice office, nice corner office, looked like, anyway. And then the other dude, who is another fixture of the same comic run that this is being adapted from, Pug, comes in with a basket and says hello. and then I think yes, this is when right after that she gets to get her first assignment, and that assignment is she has to defend Emil Blonsky, aka the Abomination.
Right. He's applying for parole.
Yep.
And that is the case that she has been specifically retained, like asked for. Like this firm has been retained by Emil Blonsky specifically because Jennifer Walters, aka the She-Hulk, is employed there, and he asked specifically for her because he has, of course, close ties,
yes,
of a sort with her and her cousin,
right? Through
her cousin. So
well, yeah. So we'll get to that right now because so she's against taking it, and Holden Holloway's like, you don't take this case, you don't have a job. So he gave her a day to think about it. To which, you know, one she goes to talk to Bruce, and that's just when we find out that you know, I already talked to him, and you know he tried to make nice haiku and all. Actually, wait, she went to. Did she go talk to Bruce first before? Oh wait, I totally forgot. Hold on a second. I don't know if it's because I think she went to see him first.
No, they were on the phone.
No, I meant Blonsky. But
no, you wrote him a letter.
Right, yeah. No. I know that part. Oh, okay, yes, right. So yeah, so that came her first, where she talked to Bruce, and Bruce was like, yeah, you already wrote me a letter, this and that and the other. But anyway, she was going to take the job anyway. And they talked that out. Then we find out Bruce is out in space because he took that ship that ran into the last episode. So we're assuming he's going back to Scar?
Yeah, and I think it's pretty safe to assume that this may very well lead down, maybe the edge of the road down to maybe not World War Hulk, but definitely some aspects of the World War Hulk / Planet Hulk story, which may include Kyera the Old Strong, Scar, Son of Hulk, and other aspects of that story. Yeah. If you need more information on that, Roddykat has not read this, but I highly recommend the Greg Pak and Carlo Pagulayan run on Planet Hulk. And I don't recall, I think there were a number of different artists on the World War Hulk stuff that followed, but it's all written by Greg Pak.
Yeah, see, I think I glanced some of the World War Hulk stuff because it was, at the time, the couple of things I was reading, it was mingling into.
Right.
And I believe there was a Heroes for Hire with the Daughters of the Dragon that I think I was reading at that time. But nevertheless, so yeah, that was the thing. And yeah, whenever we're going to get that, we don't know when and or if that's going to happen. But the seeds are already there, folks. Also, there was a really pretty nice joke where they that kind of stood there in that scene because as Bruce was talking about, it's like, yeah, that fight was a whole you know, I was a whole different person when that fight happened, which of course that was
double entendre, folks.
Yes,
double entendre.
Yes, which of course
even triple entendre if you really think about it.
Exactly, which was the Ed Norton Hulk movie. So that was out there. But then the line got cut off because he went into hyperspace, and that was that. So this is when Jen ended up going to see Blonsky, I believe. Oh no, she went home.
No. So here's the thing. So there's a couple of things that are a little bit out of sequence here. Earlier, and I was going to make this, I was going to add this part. So she goes home before meeting Blonsky. Okay. Right? This is before she gets offered the job. And we know, just skip that. We'll circle back to that. But at the end of the day, she goes to meet Blonsky, and they have a pretty interesting first potential client and potential potential attorney meeting. And Emil Blonsky has some very interesting tidbits that drop that are Easter eggs for the viewers, namely that he has been in pen pal contact with 7 other interested people. Now that is a hint for what Blonsky's future involvement in the MCU may be.
Yes.
So he also tries to establish what his possible reasons for being granted parole might be. So these prove to be relatively persuasive.
Yes.
To She-Hulk, and ultimately, at this point, this is when she talks to Bruce, and that's when he goes off into space, right? And now we have Jen Walters calling Holloway, and she accepts the offer to take on Emil Blonsky's case. And of course, what happens? But on the TV, there is a story about how Emil Blonsky escaped somehow to fight Wong in Xia Ling's Fight Club, as seen in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And of course, Jen is not too happy about this, and that is where this episode ends. Right. It is a very brisk 30-minute long episode. It's packed with a lot of information. One of the things that Roddykat skipped, and I wanted to touch on this, is that we got to see, I'm pretty sure he's a working actor, but we got to see the return of Cousin Larry Appleton.
No, I was going to talk about it. Trust me. I was not going to let that go.
In real life as actor Mark Lynn Baker. When I saw him, I was like, Cousin Larry.
So, it took me a second. I was like, wait, because I was like, wait, why does he look so... Oh, snap, it's Cousin Larry.
I was so happy I did the dance of joy.
Yeah.
My goodness.
And his mom, because they showed his mom her mom first, and I was like, wait, she looks familiar, and I know I've seen her somewhere, but I couldn't place her. But it was when he showed up, it was like, wait, click, click, boom. Oh, snap, Cousin Larry. I was happy to see him, because I think he had, well, it'd been a while since I know I've seen him, and I wouldn't, as far as, like you said, I think he has been still working here and there on things, but I haven't seen.
Right, not all that visible. That's really what it comes down to, right? So ultimately, it was nice to see Cousin Larry come back, and there is a stinger at the end of this episode also. I wonder if there's going to be a stinger at the end of every episode now.
Yeah,
we're 2 for 2.
I know, yeah, because this is weird. Because this is the first one. This is the first show that has been like that, where there's been multiple sequels from the jump.
Right.
So that is a good question, and I guess given the nature, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
Yep.
I was about to compare it to Peacemaker, but Peacemaker is DC because they've done the same thing. But this is the first time in Marvel for sure. So
right. Well, I mean, Marvel had done a good job of keeping everyone guessing, and also building up that suspense and that anticipation for a stinger, whether or not it would be in the penultimate or the ultimate episode. Right. So it's interesting that this show, because of its breaking the fourth wall nature, that they're choosing to put in stingers in every episode
so far.
At least so far, right? At least so far.
So yeah, but yeah, it was good to see Cousin Larry again. The whole different person bit, that was pretty funny. They did the bit where Jen turns from She-Hulk from She-Hulk to back to Jen, and she just plops out because she was drunk, right. Which again, straight out of the comic books. So that was pretty good.
I didn't know that. Is that in the slot run?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Like I said, that whole thing with Holloway and asking for her for the job, because it's like different premise, but yeah, that whole thing pretty much came out of that run.
Nice.
So I was like, all right, this was cool to see. And like I said, I thought we were going to get like a little bit more of a tour. I was kind of hoping to see a certain android, but I shouldn't expect that to be the case in the MCU. That at the law firm. Matter of fact, there's probably a couple of things I was expecting to see from that law firm. that probably isn't going to show up, but still.
Give it time.
Yeah, but one of them would have shown
No, we
itself
don't
by
know
now.
yet.
Yeah, I mean, one of them would have shown themselves by this time, is what I'm saying. But
Well,
nevertheless,
that
like
might
I
be
said,
part of the adaptation. You know,
Right.
they'll just switch the timing around. So
Right.
I
And
would
then-
just advise and counsel patience on that one.
well, and I'm also saying that I don't think at least neither one of them would be necessary for the story, but would be fun to see. That's all I'm saying. So if they don't show up, I won't be surprised about that, because like they're because they get us into a couple of wackier bits of Slots Run. Let's just say. But nevertheless, I enjoyed this episode of She-Hulk, as I did the first one. That Supermax prison shows up again, like I said, and as we said in Miss Marvel, that place was easy to break out of, so it wasn't a surprise, which we already knew, you know.
Right, but in this case, Blonsky's escaping because of Wong.
That is
he's
true.
literally using magic, so
Right.
that's not the same as the Jinn getting away. Obviously the Abomination has Hulk level strength, so they've got him under much tighter security,
Right.
and it takes someone performing just short of Sorcerer Supreme level magic to get to him. So.
Right.
Let's be respectful of Wong's power level.
Oh no,
here.
I'm not saying that's not the case, but I'm saying, let's face it, with or without that, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have taken that much to get out of there. It is the Marvel Universe one way or the other, because let's face it, even in the comic, people break out fairly easily. But you bring up something that I wanted to circle back around to, because one, we know this is set during the events of somewhere in the middle of Shang-Chi, because of the fact that we see the Abomination Wong fight. But we also find
No, I was
out...
gonna say not necessarily, but
Well,
probably close to that, because
Yeah.
that could just be a recording of it.
but it was still... But it's... I feel like
Right,
you
it
could
didn't
safely
say
say
that
that it was
was-
still after the fact, and it was like,
Right. My point being that it's approximately close in time with that, because I think what we're seeing is Wong, just like in Shang-Chi, reaching out to people, and we may very well see that in this series.
Right. Still yet, I'm going to say, and also,
Yep.
that it is set, which this should be like a duh, but it's also set after the events of Eternals, because we get a newspaper. If Jim's looking at the newspaper, actually, there's a couple of things that newspaper shows, but we get the one instance of somebody actually mentioning the fact that there's a huge celestial sticking out of the earth.
Yeah.
Because
I didn't even notice that. When was that?
it was in the newspaper when Jen and her friend were reading the newspaper. It showed the headlines of
Oh, I got to look at that again. Okay,
yeah. Matter of
cool.
fact, one of them may have to do with a certain clawed mutant also.
Oh wow.
By the way, and there was a couple of other little, there was a couple of little lines in there that was of note, but those were the two that stuck out.
That's cool.
Yeah, unless you want some Iron Man 3s, they had an advertisement of those, for you sneakerheads out there. But yeah, you go back and check a look at that. So I think that's about it though. Like I said, we as we found out before going into this episode, we were going to find out where this definitely takes place in the MCU. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and hit this news article real quick, because it's pretty much probably going to say the same thing. In that Disney Plus pinpoints She-Hulk in the MCU timeline, which is also kind of weird, because I went to Disney Plus and looked this up. Let me see. And it's weird because they basically have She-Hulk before Miss Marvel and after Moon Knight. Let me see. I didn't mean to do that. While I'm looking this up, and move on over there. There we go. And do this. Don't judge me.
I'm not sure what Roddykat.S doing. I'm not looking at the sheet.
Oh no! I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the audience who's ever watching this in the video version.
Gotcha.
Which why are you not working for me right now? This is okay. Here we go. Oh, weird. So yeah, so they reordered the MCU timeline order on Disney Plus, and I'm scrolling through it right now. So as you can see, if you're watching the video version, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, then Miss Marvel is the order.
Interesting.
Is the order. And of course, before Doctor Strange, you got Shang-Chi and then Eternals.
Gotcha.
So, which again, like I said, it seems kind of weird because it's like, well, obviously Miss Marvel came before She-Hulk, but I guess in the chronology, she comes after. So I thought that was interesting. And there was an article, like I said, it's in the show notes if you want to read it for yourself, that talk about that as well. All right. So unless you got something else to talk about with She-Hulk.
Nope. We can move on.
What's next?
All right. So we're going to start.
I was about to say, I'll play a transition if you want.
I think I just screwed something up, but that's fine. It'll be all right. We're going to get into books with Fantastic Four number 46.
Alrighty, this is the final issue the final Fantastic Four issue written in this 46 issue run by Dan Slott. Art on this issue is done by Cafu. Colors are by Jesus Abertov, and letters by our absolute favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. So, just to set the stage, because it is Slott's last issue on this book, there are a few things you have to expect from a writer when they are finishing up this long a run. A few of these things do happen. One is that things essentially get put in that, characters are essentially put back into the toy box roughly as the writer initially found them. Second, if there are any dangling plot lines that only the writer would be intimately familiar with, those plot lines would normally be dealt with before the next writer takes over.
I would also like to add, before you go any further, any characters that the writer might have wanted to use that he didn't get in could also go into that category.
Right. And any changes to some of these characters, much like putting them back into the toy box the way they found them, any changes to the character that may have seemed drastic would likely be reversed by the time this writer leaves their run. And to varying degrees, all of these happen in this issue, and I'll let Roddykat expand on that. Go ahead.
So yes, the main things that were dangling during Slott's run is one, meeting Reed Richards' half sister. We do that here. As Agent 70 kind of pointed out before the show, kind of rushed, but nevertheless, it was still good. Two, taking care of what happened to Johnny Storm when his powers got over boosted.
Right, he was basically overclocked.
Basically, yes.
as I'm not a gamer, but any gamers out there and Roddykat will understand that point or that terminology.
Yes. If you build PCs, you definitely know that terminology. So yes, so Johnny's back down to his power level, and by proxy, Sky, who was Johnny's soulmate from Spire, got inadvertently overclocked herself, or mutated, I guess would probably be a better word, because of what happened to Johnny, and they were linked at the time. So that's been taken care of. And apparently anybody on Spire who wants to revert back to whatever their normal state was, which, granted, when we met them, they were already basically like, mutants and pretty people. So, so it was the more mutated folks that could change back. It's almost like an Eternals deviant situation, which I guess we will talk about that in a little bit also. So that being the case, I think that's the majority of that, with the exception of, like I said, Reed Richards basically trying to reconcile with the family that he knew he had, but never really dealt with too much. Let's just say outside of his dad, who is Nathaniel Richards, who is King the Conqueror. And that will come up. That is coming up prominently because I call this the MCU-ification of that fact, because of the fact that he meets his half sister, who is black, who was also a scientist, by the way, who knew already that Reed was her half brother. But as she said, it was like, yo, so y'all took all this time to come and find me, huh? So. But
well, she had the advantage of coming second, or coming next in line.
Right. Well, and in fairness, as Sue said, it was like, it was just going from one crisis to another, So there were things going on.
Right. But ultimately, my point still stands.
Right.
In that, because she comes after Reed has long gained prominence, in fame as one of the smartest people in the world. So it's interesting that the MCUification is it's kind of a combination of that the Michael B. Jordaning of things.
Sure. Okay.
Like a little bit, and I'm wondering if I'm wondering what the MCU version will be, and I'm wondering if you have a story on Matt Shackman possibly taking on.
Yes, I do. Yes. So we'll get to that.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, like I said, Joanna Jeffers is her name. That's Reed's half sister with with the other folks, with a couple other folks that we see in this issue. One of which supposedly both of them have shown up in either this book or a book in the past. And as Agent 70 has said, Dan Slotts likes to mine Marvel history, to which he did. One of these we knew about. This other one we definitely did not. Because it was like, I don't remember ever seeing it. And I was thinking maybe it was somebody from this run that that kind of came across during this run, but I don't remember at all. But then again, this has been a fairly lengthy run, all being told. 46 issues. And we've read a lot. So who's to say when this other character came in or not? What is going on with all these tabs? Anywho, but we go into this meeting with her, and she meets pretty much everybody in the family, including Ben and Alicia's kids, and that's when we end up going to Spire, because we find out that, hey, they found a cure for Johnny and everybody else, thanks to of all things, the Cosmic Control Rod, and a whole bunch of research to where that whole thing gets straightened out. But they also end up getting, I guess, what we're just going to go ahead and call a bonding session with Joanna and Reed, thanks to the Psycho Man, whom I don't think we've seen. I don't think Psycho Man has shown up in the Marvel Universe in probably decades. I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Not that long, but yeah, I understand. It's been a while. Yeah, I don't think it's been that long. I think I've seen him in various Fantastic Four runs because he is, more associated with them.
Right.
But he's been around, not regularly. I mean, he has had a Marvel Legend in the last 2 years.
Yeah, that doesn't really mean anything, though.
But it does in that the character is recognizable enough that someone might actually buy the action figure.
To someone of a certain vintage, yes, that is true.
Yes, that's obviously an appeal to someone of a certain vintage.
But so that being said, so we get to run in with the.
But there is a deeper cut in this issue that you will touch upon.
Yep. We also get the re-emergence of one Owen Reese, the Molecule Man, in a way.
Yes, I mean, wasn't he in the Fantastic Force book or the Future Foundation book?
He did show up there, yes. That's
where we last saw him. That's where Slott basically decided to bring him back from, like being left out there in the middle of the universe.
Right, because something that happened to him, we thought that was the end of him, and even then we hadn't seen the character in a while, which is also kind of funny, given another book that I read this week that also mentions him. But we'll get to that. I get to that later on. So yeah, we find out that Owen Reese is alive and kicking of sorts, and I'm kind of wondering if they're going to use Quantum Mania. I mean, this is probably a stretch, but I'm kind of wondering if they're going to use Quantum Mania as a way to introduce the Molecule Man. I doubt it, but
the possibility remains.
Exactly.
I think that is a possibility. It's less likely, I think, than other things being introduced, like possibly hinting at someone from beyond to set up future Secret Warsy stuff.
Which again,
so that's my suspicion is that they'll use that to kind of set that up. But the possibility remains. I would not take that off the table.
Right, because I feel like I'm not gonna say they go hand in hand because they don't. You can do one without the other. But again, this book that I will talk about later on reminds folks they have a history.
Right. So, if you are not of a certain vintage, that will remind you.
Right. So that was a very interesting thing, and but all that goes to pretty much leave us at the end of the book where we see after some considerable journeying and whatnot, we see Reed and Joanna get to a place in the book and the volume end on a pretty nice note, I thought.
And we'll see. Right, go ahead, finish.
No, I was going to say, like I said, the everything's back in the box, as Agent 70 said earlier, and we seem to see everybody, the whole family in the FF, in a pretty good place at the end of this book. What we still don't know, however, and this is my last thought, because somebody brought this up somebody actually slot this on Twitter, did Franklin turn himself back into a mutant? Somebody asked him that. It was like, all right, your run's over. Is Franklin a mutant again? Did he make himself a mutant again, or what? And I don't think he ever answered.
Good for him. Good for Slott.
For
Slott.
Right. Or if he did, I didn't see the answer, but yeah.
Right. Good for him if, in fact, he stayed quiet. Because, you know what? In the era of... back in the era of not having direct communications with the creators via social media, you just had to wait and see. Right. Why on earth would Dan Slott mention anything about this as he's coming off the book and not give Ryan North and company some time to address this in their upcoming run?
Presumably they do.
Right. So, and what I was going to end my thoughts on this book with is that I wonder what they're going to do with this latest member of Reed's extended family. So I'm wondering what Ryan North will end up doing. I'm glad Slott didn't leave this dangling.
Right.
I'm glad he did not. So ultimately, we'll see where this character goes. It was, as I said earlier, much of what we expected, but I thought it was executed pretty well.
Mm. Yeah, I can agree with that. I agree with that.
All right. So, President Bartlett.
What's next?
A.X.E. Judgment Day. As I walk through the Valley of Death. Number 3.
Right. So it's A.X.E. Judgment Day number 3. It's written by Kieran Gillen with art by Valerio Schiti. Roddykat has a typo in here. It's not Skeeto, but Skeety. I copied his typo. That's my fault.
Oh, wait, did I? I was probably tired.
That's all right. Exactly. Colors by Marte Gracia and letters by VC's Clayton Cowell. So we have just learned in Judgment Day number 2 that the resurrected, or partially, well, mostly resurrected Celestial that used to be Avengers Mountain, but is now essentially a new, different Celestial, has decided to pass judgment on the people of Earth. And there are some very interesting judgments that are placed in here. Some of them are very, let's say, in tune with current events. I did not appreciate how Captain America was judged. I'm like, seriously? You're going to judge Captain America on the actions of all the other moron Americans, not Captain America himself? Seriously? Can we get Matt Murdock and Jen Walters on this case? I'm like, seriously? And I found myself agreeing with Stark. Stark is like, he judged Cap like that? We are all dead.
Right. I said the same thing. But at the same time, I see why I'm of two minds with it, but also I see why he did it that way. I'm like, okay, if Cap gets judged like that, people gonna have to do some real hard thinking about their life if Cap's getting the thumbs down.
I'm like, he's Captain America, but whatever.
Yeah. So I laughed at that. But shout out to Cap though, because he apparently has a belief in people that I can't say in the real world would be founded. Right. Because he still, as I call it, the spirit bomb play, and Agent 70 now knows what that means. Right. Right. Because basically, it all boils down to the fact that, well, everybody's going to get judged, so we kind of have to get everybody on the same page. And in that, they're basically, as I said in my notes, going to use a cheat code. And that cheat code is another MCU-ification of sorts, but also a throwback, which I also thought he was dead, by the way.
I had lost track of the character, to be honest.
Right. Because I remember, when, like, right around Silver Surfer Black and that whole thing with Guardians of the Galaxy thing happened where everybody got swallowed up into the black hole, I thought he was one of them. And I guess that doesn't necessarily mean he died, but I thought he got swallowed up in that whole thing. Oh, no, actually, I take it back. Because I thought during that whole thing, I think he was the one that was still around, but got killed by Thanos, or got killed because they thought, yeah, that's what it was. Gamora and somebody else or something like that was like, they were going to kill him because they thought Thanos was going to take him over, or something like that. It was something along those lines. Regardless, it doesn't matter because that was like probably a year or two ago, and then we read a lot of things. Regardless, I thought he was no longer around. But apparently, hey, guess what, folks? There's a former Avenger who may or may not have powers that would make him, some would call him an offender, let's say, if you were to use those powers. In fact, that came up in a run of She-Hulk also. Matter of fact, that might have come up in Slot's run.
Right, I think it did. You know, and from what I remember, having never read it, I think that I remember reading references to it. Mm-hmm. All right, so I just wanted to, we've gotten to the end of the book, right? I wanted to touch on a few of the judgments that were passed amongst characters that are more well known to us, not these human characters that Gillen is placing as, entry points of view for us, right? And, a kind of like person on the street type of points of view for the story. I really did appreciate that both Mystique and Destiny got thumbs down
together.
I'm just like, you know what? I've always hated Destiny as a character. Yeah. Her precog stuff is so annoying. She was obviously more annoying when she was an old lady. Now she's a you know, she's living a hot young lesbian life with Mystique. I get it. That's fine. But I've never liked her as that precog character, so I was very happy to see that she got the thumbs down.
They have definitely changed her character because she's way catty now, especially the way they have her talking.
She's young. That's the point. Like she's, like we never knew her as like a young person. Right. So now she's like adapting to the times. Whereas, when we saw her in the 80s, she was already mad old.
Right, because she's just going at people in the pages of this. I'm like, dang. And I think from what I've seen online, a couple other places, a couple other X books, she's just kind of going at people. I'm like, dang,
yeah.
Destiny, chill. Get off people's necks, man.
Seriously, man, seriously. All right. So this was a fun issue. This is actually a potential click of the week for me because I really like the fact that all of this mostly was happening in people's heads, and I kind of chuckled at the fact that the Celestial's like, well, some die of heart attacks, but it's only a smattering.
Right. That's fine. Yeah, that's all right. And I love how Druid, who's supposed to be like, I was like, this big bad, I'm a leader of men, and this, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, I gotta go seek some advice from this. From this other two, because I have no idea what's going on. Yep. I don't know what to do.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the crux of A.X.E. There was a couple of other things that happened. There was some barrels and stuff, but like I said, I got a feeling some of that stuff is going to get revisited at some point, so we don't need to necessarily go over that now. That being the case, you got another book you want
to... How about we do Amazing and then we'll go rapid fire?
Yeah. Because
we have almost every book in common. So as I go through the books in rapid fire, obviously you'll chime in. And the only, and I have one book on my list that you did not read. So I will continue with Amazing Spider-Man number 8. So this issue is written by Zeb Wells with pencils by John Romita Jr., inks by Scott Hanna, colors by Marcio Meniz, and letters by, again, our favorite lettering Python, VC's Joe Caramagna. So we pick up right where we left off in the last issue. It's literally a direct continuation of the story from issue number 7, with Peter plummeting to his death after being basically taken to school by one Adrian Toomes, the Vulture. Spidey figures out a way to stop his fall. It's not the best way. It's not the most graceful way, but he does stop. But Adrian Toomes continues to press his advantage because Spidey has lost the ability to shoot his webs because Adrian Toomes destroyed his web shooters. Somehow, though, despite the fact that he has been shoved back first into a brick-laden chimney, his cell phone is still intact in where, and because he places it in his version of a utility belt, right? So I'm assuming there is some reinforcement there that provides his cell phone some protection. That is the no prize that I have just earned.
I like how that's what you fell on. That's pretty good. I wasn't even thinking about that part.
It jumped out at me when you look at the panel.
I mean, you're right, but that was the one of the last things. I was like, okay, so he just kind of like he said ouch, and he slammed pretty fast, hard and fast into that wall. I was like, that was the last thing I was thinking about, his cell phone.
Because he pulls it out,
right?
He pulls it out to use it, which is wild to me. But in any event, the person he calls using the cell phone is none other than the white man with cornrows, Norman Osborn.
I mean, hey, it is.
So good old Norman. That's a City Slickers reference, folks. Norman, good old Norman, proves to be unhelpful, right? Peter is asking for Norman's help. Norman proves to be unhelpful, which makes Peter have to take things into his own hands. And the reason why Peter's calling Norman is because he needs something that Norman has developed for him. And at this point, I'll hand it off to Roddy to take it, at least most of the rest of the way. And obviously, let me know if you're having some issues, with coughing or whatever. So let me know.
Yeah, we're good. So yes, Peter calls Norman because one, he's about to die, like a dude from New Jack City. That's a reference for folks. And he needs.
I thought you were gonna use Jar Jar. We's about to die.
No, please no. Scotty, help me! I'm about to die. As much as I hate to invoke that fool, but anyway, but yeah, so Peter calls Norman because Norman and Peter apparently had developed a new Spider-Man suit, which if you're watching the video version, you're seeing the form of which melds, let's say, some Spider-Man stuff with some Goblin tech. And I'm going to sit here and say that it was jarring to see it in action, because I'm like, you'd never thought you would see Spider-Man on actually it's kind of cool, but it's also still kind of weird, because it's like, so it's a spider glider, I guess. I don't think it's been officially named. And he's also got like spider bombs, like pumpkin bombs, but they have little spiders in them. So yeah, he's basically incorporated some goblin tech into his periphery now, to which he uses against the Vulture and makes the Vulture think long hard about what he was doing, even though I don't think this is probably going to be the last we see of Adrian Toomes for a minute. And Adrian Toomes with the language at some point, because he was like, at one point he was like, "Are you steering me?" He was like, "Mother, are you steering me?" Like, dang, yeah. Adrian, what's like, chill. But like I said, we get the first use of this new suit, and we also get the explanation as to why supposedly Norman didn't help Peter out. It sounded plausible. I don't believe it, but it was.
Neither did I.
But it's all in service of getting the story going to where we next are going to take it. In that, Peter is going to work for Norman Osborn at Oscorp, which we found out is going at the end of this issue. So I'm sitting here like, I want to believe it. I don't believe it. Like, especially when he crushed that phone, when he crushed the phone, I'm like, yeah, okay. So your reasoning for it was that, right? Okay, sure. Right. So we'll see where this is going to lead in the next episode. We still don't have anything on Mary Jane and that kid, because none of that came up in this.
Or what happened 6 months ago.
Exactly. Or what happened 6 months ago, which, at some point we will get. So we just got to hold our horses. But like, the one thing I just want to know is where the hell that kid came from. That's all I want to know right now. Everything else you can play the long con on. Fine. I need to know what happened there, because the math don't math on that situation.
Yep. I agree. All right. So I think that wraps up our discussion on Amazing Spider-Man number 8, and we will go into rapid fire to cover the rest of the books this week. Mm-hmm. Here we go.
I ain't got time to bleed.
All right, first up is Avengers Forever number 8. This is the one book that I do not have in common with Roddykat. It's written by Jason Aaron, with pencils by Aaron Cooter, inks by Cam Smith, colors by Guru EFX, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. So, as I've mentioned over the past several weeks, any of these Avengers Forever issues are basically introductions to alternate versions of the Avengers, wherein they have, from different parts of the multiverse, wherein there is a twist on the character's origin. In this case, it is the unworthy Thor continuing to remain unworthy of Mjolnir, but instead of finding a way to fight as the unworthy Thor, this version of Thor discovers a different identity, and hint, hint, he makes his way to Kunlun to do it. Interesting. Right. Interestingly, the multiverse, the Masters of Evil, the multiverse Masters of Evil, that is, have laid waste to this Earth and found their way to Kunlun to also lay waste to it. But one person remains, and it is that person that helps Thor find a different way to use his gifts. And that is the crux of Avengers Forever #8. Of course, there are characters, one of them from this realities or from the main realities Avengers, that is teaming up with some other multiversal Avengers to gather the troops, to bring a team together. And that is where this story ends. Next up is Captain America: Symbol of Truth #4. It's written by Tochi Onyebuchi, with art by R.B. Silva and Zé Carlos, and letters by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. So this issue also picks up right where we left off in issue #3. There are parallel stories being told here, one for the new Falcon and one for Sam Wilson as Captain America. So the new Falcon is imprisoned by some nefarious ne'er-do-wells who are in the midst of smuggling essentially smuggling vibranium and probably other things using illegal immigrants that are coming across the southern United States border. Meanwhile, Sam Wilson's Captain America is supposedly, how can he be undercover in Wakanda? He thinks he's undercover in Wakanda, but that's just not the case. Surprisingly, though, he's not intercepted by Wakandan security, but by a classic Captain America villain, because one of the villains revealed in this series so far is, in fact, a classic Wakandan character who tends to, live in the gray area and I guess in this series is veering towards the villainous side. Ultimately, the issue, the story of Joaquin, the new Falcon, resolves itself to a certain extent, and Sam Wilson finds himself battling for his life against this classic Captain America villain. Sam still has Falcon-esque powers, and he uses that to gain the advantage. So we end this issue with the appearance of, let's say it's not a surprise, and I'll leave it at that.
Right. Given where they are, definitely not a surprise. And as Agent 70 said, what is being used in the plot.
Right.
Yeah. I will say that real quick, Sam actually held himself pretty good without his suit. But then again, of course, you can write a battle the way you want it to go, so there is that. But we also we seem to be finding ourselves with both of those plots, seemingly separate plots coming together because of what was brought up here. So there's, let's just say the peanut butter is meeting the chocolate at some point soon.
Or the jelly, depending on
I almost said jelly, but hey, nevertheless, hey, who doesn't like Reese's Cups?
Depending on your taste. I get it. All right. Next up is Miles Morales, Spider-Man #41. It's written by Saladin Ahmed, with art by Christopher Allen, colors by David Curiel, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit. This is, I believe, I cannot say for certain, this is, I believe, the finale of this multiverse spanning adventure that Miles and Shift have been on. And they have taken on Salim and the forces of evil that have walled off Brooklyn from the rest of the world and the rest of New York City. And this is the final battle. Someone has to pay the ultimate price. Why, oh, why? Why, oh, why? It's the opposite of, let's say it's the opposite of the horror movie trope. right? And given my ethnic background, why oh why does it have to be that character? But I understand.
I thought about that when I read, and I was like, I don't know if you saw my notes when you said that about the
Oh no, no,
okay.
no, no! I didn't. I didn't. Go ahead.
Because I said the exact thing when in my notes about somebody had to make this ultimate sacrifice. I thought about that too. It was like, yeah, why did it have to be? Well, one, why did it have to be anybody? But why did it have to be that character? That was kind of crazy. But anyway.
So interestingly, we have the introduction of a new style of multiversal spider. And when we get to the conclusion cliffhanger page, it's implied, it is absolutely implied that this multiversal story is now over, but we are not certain. It just says to be continued.
Yeah, maybe.
Right, so we do not know.
Right. It's actually kind of made me think of Quantum Leap, because it was like knowing if the next leap was going to be the one that sends them home. We don't know if this was the leap that did said thing.
Right. So, that's where this issue ends. Next up is Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. It's written by Jean Luen Yang with art by Marcus To, colors by Eric Arciniega, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So, in the continuing MCUification of Shang-Chi, we have Shang-Chi now in possession of these 10 rings, these mysterious 10 rings, which are not, repeat, are not the 10 rings of the Mandarin. They have a different nature. That different nature, though, makes them dangerous for Shang-Chi to wield continuously. So he puts them away, puts them into deep storage. And one reason I really enjoyed this issue is that Shang-Chi finds himself getting played by old acquaintances, friends, and lovers. And I kind of enjoyed that Jean Luen Yang showed that Shang-Chi, while bright, while trusting, really shouldn't have put that kind of trust in another in members of a spy agency he once worked with and worked in. And so, without going too much into this story, there is a double cross. And that double cross is going to lead us further into where this story ends up going. I like the fact that Jean Luen Yang mined, just like Dan Slott, mined the long history. Shang-Chi had a pretty long comic book run in the 70s. There were a lot of those issues out there. Obviously, the character lay dormant for much of the 80s, 90s, and even the 2000s until Hickman brought him back. And we will refuse to acknowledge that one shot that Roddykat does not like. I was unhappy with that as well, but I think Roddykat was very unhappy with that. Right. So, you know what? I need to pull that Men on Films hated it quote. I really do. I need that as a sound drop. That's a good one. Hold on. Let me write that down. I gotta write that down, folks. I apologize for putting a hold on the show, because I absolutely need to write that down, because I will forget if I don't write it down. So I gotta put in hated it from Men on Films. That is and in living color references.
Well, while he's doing that, I will say that I enjoyed this the Shang-Chi issue also for similar reasons, because it's not too many times that Shang-Chi, somebody gets the drop on Shang-Chi. He had his nose open on this one, so he kind of got led. The other thing that took me about this was the supposed bad person's name, which is something straight out of the 70s. And their name is Carlton Velcro. That is a name you would not hear nowadays. Or maybe you would. I don't know, depending on what parts of the areas you go to, But that was a name that obviously I had never heard of, because I don't think I was reading any Shang-Chi book, because this is something from way back in the Shang-Chi's.
Right. No, this is the 70s. This is like the height of the Kung Fu craze that does actually predate my time on this earth and Roddykat time on this earth.
Just about,
You
yeah,
know,
pretty much.
so at the end of the day, that shows you how long this character has been around, but also, as I said earlier, how long the character lay dormant until the need for the character to play a more major role because of the MCU came about. And that's it for me on Rapid Fire.
All right. Before I get into my rapid fire, something I totally forgot to mention between Miles Morales and Captain America book. They apparently, I think Sam's been hanging around with Uncle Aaron because they both say the same thing to the bad guys before they before they punch him out. Because there's a part where the Prowler comes in and helps Miles out, and he's like, basically says, you talk too much. And Sam says the same thing to Crossburn before he socks someone. And they say it pretty much about the same way. So I'm like, wait, either those two are writings or that's just some serendipity. That was pretty funny. Which probably the latter, obviously. Anywho, I thought that was pretty cool. For myself, we are going to start with wow, that was a Sylvester moment there. Damage Control #1. Nice little throwback cover there for #1. So this is
I was about to say, feel free to drop spoilers. I did read this, I just didn't put it on my list. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's not really much to say about it. But it's written by Adam F. Goldberg, I guess one of the creators of the Goldberg TV show. And he did the main story, and the backup story was written by Charlotte Fullerton McDuffie, the wife of the late great Dwayne McDuffie, also creator of the Damage Control. Dwayne McDuffie, that is. Art by Will Robinson and Jay Fogel, color artist Ruth Threadman, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. So, yeah, we see the first day of this dude named Gus. He's talking to, first we see him in a bar talking to a character who already works for Damage Control in a capacity that, if I remember this character from the original series, not much different from what he's doing now. Apparently, head intern means something to some people that really doesn't. But nevertheless, they're talking, and we come to find out that this Gus person just gets a LinkedIn message to ask him to work for Damage Control. Like, dang, I wish that would happen to me. Nobody's sending me no LinkedIn message to get a job. So I assume they're going to this is going to come up at some point because the other guy's like, wait, so you don't know anybody or didn't apply or didn't do anything, to get this job. So, and apparently that's not the case. But the rest of the story is basically dude showing Gus around and going through his first day, and Gus already screwing up. The one thing he had to do was to get a man a piece of ice cream cake. Is that so hard to do, folks? Now, granted, he's also being shown.
It's kind of impractical. There is
that also.
Deliver the ice cream cake like that. But go ahead.
Yeah, that is also true. For some strange reason, I was expecting Iceman to come in and be like, "Oh, hold on for a second. I got you," But because that's the kind of thing that would happen around Damage Control. But Gus gets in some misadventures that keeps him kind of from getting the ice cream cake to the person the person gets to, and he also kind of slacks off because he was supposed to be doing delivering some other mail, which ends up becoming an issue near the end of the story. But that he gets some help with that, with the exception of one that causes a problem, but that gets settled out. And then they were like, well, maybe the mailroom's not for you. And that pretty much ends that story. And I guess he's going to end up in another department later. And then the backup story, which I guess is set in the past, because we see basically the the character of Bart, who was the person who was talking to Gus in the beginning of this first episode, we see him as a little kid, and his mom comes to visit him as he interns at Damage Control, and she gets into they get into a misadventure that's involving Thanos, apparently, and the Reality Stone. Because, you know, that's the kind of thing they have laying around Damage Control. Also, actually, going back to the main story, there's a little MCUification going on here because Damage Control in the comics classically known for cleanup of, you know, superhero battles and that kind of stuff. And, yeah, in the MCU, that's kind of been the case. But they also address here that's like, nah, we do more than that. We're the storage for items of, you know, of certain things.
Right, just like they did in Homecoming.
Right.
Like right at the beginning, they basically not quite open with it, but it's almost like it really was very upfront, you know, early in the story.
Right. So they reestablished that in the pages of this, which again, like I said, kind of the MCUification of Damage Control. You hate to see it, but nevertheless, this is what it is. But that's pretty much that for that. I don't know. I'm gonna keep up with it because I love Damage Control. I'm not sure how much I will care for it, and I'm not sure how. I think it's supposed to be an ongoing, but I don't know if that's actually true or not. But we'll see. I'll give it a few more issues, see what's up. Next book though is Darth Vader number 26. Bing, bing, bing. Of course. Pardon me, I'm looking for there we go. The cover, Darth Vader number 26, written by Greg Pak, art by Rafaela Ienco, colors by Carlos Lopez, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. 3 things of note. Starts off with a prequel meme. And also ends with, now this is pod racing. So you know what's going to happen in the course of this issue without me saying anything. You might not know the particulars of why it is happening, but it is happening. But also apparently, this Vader uses, and I still haven't seen this movie, and there's a reason for that, but uses a trick from Indiana Jones 4, getting out of a situation at the end of it. Because there's this big.
Wait, did you say Indiana Jones 4?
Yes.
I never even watched that movie at all.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah,
I have a feeling I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's the thing that kind of happens, and if you've seen that movie, you kind of know what I'm talking. You might know what I'm talking about. You just might not know what it is in relation to what happens here. But that's the crux of this issue, and it's kind of amusing that all of that kind of came together. The meme that I'm talking about, if you're watching the video version, you can see the cover of the book. It has to do with it basically has to do with where the original recipe of the original version of Vader comes from, and something he says about where he's from. Let's just say that. Or more to the point, the prevalence of what is there. Then you know the meme. So, next up, Batman White Knight presents Red Hood number 2 of 2. That's a lot. I recognize that. Soup. So, yes, this is book 2 of that miniseries dealing with Red Hood and his, I guess she's a Robin? In the Murphyverse now, but we'll see what happens with that. Speaking of, the story is by Sean Gordon Murphy, script by Clay McCormick, art by George Cambadius and Simone DeMeo, colors by Dave Stewart, and letters by Ann World Design. So yes, we see Jason Todd teaching. Basically, we see a montage of Jason training this young lady named Gan, G-A-N, in the ways of being a Robin, you know, getting her physical fit and all that kind of good mess. And in the course of this, we see that Jason apparently starts to have a heart because he said he was going to train her to go up against this one bad guy that's been terrorizing the neighborhood. But then he gets cold feet and it's like, oh, I didn't want to do that because didn't want to put her in that because he didn't want her ended up like he did, you know. In this particular world, the events of what happened to him don't necessarily go the way they happen in the Prime DC universe. But he also gets scared witless from it. Let's just say somewhat like that. So that kind of leads him down a path. But nevertheless, things end up having a way of still happening whether you want them to or not, because he's basically just like, nope, gone, we're not going to do this. And she's like, yes, I am, and goes off to do it anyway, gets herself into some trouble to where Jason kind of comes in. She kind of gets hurt, but things still kind of work out in the end, and they end up reconciling. And apparently they both are going to end up back in the main book, but the Beyond the White Knight book, which is still going on. I can't remember what issue it's on, but I'm sure the next issue of that is coming pretty soon. So we basically are establishing the fact that they're going to be a part of this ride also, which I guess this whole story was supposedly set up. Didn't necessarily need it to, but it was fun to read anyway. Let's see. Last book for me is Defenders Beyond, which was the book I was heavily mentioning earlier. Whoops. Yep, that wasn't supposed to happen. Darn covers. Anywho, as I said the last time we talked about this book, which is being written by Al Ewing, art by Javier Rodriguez, letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. In my notes I have, there's a lot of Al Ewing mumbo jumbo for explaining the existence of the Beyonders, which is the truth. And the one particular Beyonder that, if you're of a certain vintage, you know and loathe, comes back into play in the course of this issue. During the course, while all of this mumbo jumbo is getting explained. So basically, the Beyonders are, and I'm not even going to go through the explanation, but the Beyonders are kind of like the Celestials of the Beyond. Let's put it that way. Somewhat like that. You have to read this for yourself. It's a weird read. Like I said, I would have to read this again, and I didn't have the brain power to read it more than once. Not saying it's a bad read, it's just that it's a lot to take in. Especially with Al Ewing. If you've read Al Ewing's Ultimates run, you kind of get this. It was a good read. It was just that, like, they kind of throws a lot at you, you know, in the explanations. And matter of fact, some of that kind of comes back into play because Blue Marvel is in here, and they've referenced some things from the Ultimates and Captain America and the Mighty Avengers and Secret Wars in a couple of different respects, because we find out the reason why the original Secret Wars happened, as if we didn't already find that out. But basically, it's kind of rehashing some stuff. Basically, going back to what I was saying earlier about the Molecule Man, that little history between the Beyonder and him kind of comes back up just a little bit. And Hickman's Secret Wars is also being called back. It also makes it sound like they're kind of setting up for another Secret Wars type situation going on here. I don't know if that's actually true, but in reading this, they seem to be intent on setting something like that up. Like, there's another thing coming. I'm like, we just got the Secret Wars, like, well, so it was 2015, still, it was a minute ago. Nevertheless, so I don't know. It could be something contained in another.
Has it been that long?
It has been that long since the last.
Oh my goodness!
Boy, I'm too old for this shit.
But yeah, like I said, this issue kind of references that and the original Secret Wars, and a little bit of Secret Wars 2, which I try to forget anytime I chance to get. But at the end of this, one of the characters, that being Galactus's mom, Taya, or Taya, I guess, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, gets an upgrade. And it's an upgrade that we have seen recently in the pages of the Avengers, let's just say. looking kind of good too, because we show her at the end of this issue. But to what extent that's going to play out, who's to say? And that, folks, is it for me and my books. Kliqs of the week.
All right, here we go. Kliqs of the week.
We do have one, actually, from one of our other co-hosts. It is Deathstroke number 12. I gotta pull up the chat, see what he said, because he did say something about it. Pardon me a moment, folks. So Dirt says, like I said, Deathstroke Inc. number 12. Wait, no, it's not Deathstroke Inc. It's just Deathstroke number 12. Deathstroke Inc. is... Actually, I don't know. Maybe I need to check. Anyway, it's a year one origin, which, again, continues a great origin, adding interesting layers to his history. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, it is Deathstroke Inc. Why did I thought that was old? That was the last run. So, anyway, but that's Dirt. Do you have yours, or?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so, because there are a few issues I enjoyed this week. I definitely enjoyed FF number 46, but it kind of played out the way I thought it would. I despite the fact that I did not appreciate how the Celestial judged Cap, I think I'm going to go with A.X.E. Judgment Day number 3 because I thought it was a pretty effective story with a nice little twist that, that everything was happening in all their heads. So, I kind of appreciated that as a storytelling tool. So I'm going to go with A.X.E. Judgment Day number 3.
I will safely say that, and maybe this was the state of being I was in, this one moved a lot brisker than the last couple of issues and the Eternals in general have.
Right. No, it wasn't just you. Trust me.
Yeah. So I appreciated it for that, because I was like, I knew as soon as I was going to read it, I was like, oh, this is going to have me. And don't get me wrong, I love reading it and all that. It was just that this week wasn't feeling it because of being sick. So, and so between that and Defenders Beyond, I was like, okay, this was kind of taking something out of me. That being said, though, I think. And there was still a couple of books that I didn't get to, but can't get to them all, folks. You can't get to them all. Definitely a potential Kliq of the week in Defenders Beyond number 2. Actually, there was another. Darth Vader number 26 was a potential, and FF was also a potential Kliq. Excuse me. So I'm thinking, now that I'm thinking about it, it's as interesting as it is for me to do because of what I said about it. Defenders Beyond, I think, is going to be my Kliq. I think that's what I'm going with.
Okay.
And with that, let us go to the news section. But first, an ad read, please.
All right, our first ad read is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron, fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron. Always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcasts free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
We start off with the cinematic news as we do about this time. That was not the first one. Why the Sandman TV show is not set in the DC universe. Let's see. It's because This is
because of the wonderful things he does.
Nice. In an interview with Variety Gaming, Neil Gaiman, that is, reveals that the actual reason is that it was an attempt to bring the Sandman closer to the arc of the comics, which, as the series progressed, featured fewer references and connections to the DC universe. Gaiman also revealed that it was to make sure audiences won't expect the Justice League to show up or feel like they had to catch up on another series to enjoy the Sandman. And then there's a quote that he says about that, which we won't go into. But it makes sense, because if I remember, I did read something else saying that, yeah, the Sandman started and there was a lot of there was a lot of DC crossover, or main DC crossover in the beginning of it, and then it just started filtering out as the series goes by. So
right,
this makes sense.
Absolutely.
Next up.
Absolutely. So now this is very unfortunate news that I am about to relay to everyone, because I, for one, was very excited to hear about one of these projects being announced. HBO Max has canceled 6 more animated projects, including Batman Caped Crusader. Earlier this week, TV Line reported that the series coming from Batman the Animated Series' Bruce Timm, along with J.J. Abrams, is no longer being produced for HBO Max. It and the other 5 projects will reportedly continue production as they are shopped to other outlets. That is so disappointing. I was excited to see Bruce Timm approach an animated Batman again, 1.
Right.
2, probably give it a more adult twist. And, I just have to tolerate J.J. Abrams being involved. Also canceled in this latest wave are Merry Little Batman, The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, Bye Bye Bunny, a Looney Tunes musical, Did I Do That to the Holidays, a Steve Urkel. I knew I was reading that correctly. Did I do that? To the Holidays, a Steve Urkel story, and The Amazing World of Gumball, the movie. These projects are just the latest to fall victim to HBO Max's continued shift in strategy. Oy.
Actually,
They're doing a Steve Urkel animated show. Did I do that? I'm wondering if I should get that, if I should pull that as an audio drop.
So I saw one William Bruce West. I guess I could say a friend of the show. I'm not sure, but
absolutely. Go ahead.
Talking about, like, he was more excited. He was genuinely excited for that Steve Urkel holiday special, whatever that was. I think it was something. It was that and a Gumball. Now, I love me some Gumball. I did not know they were doing a Gumball movie, so I'm kind of sad that they're not going to do a Gumball movie. But there's a lot of Gumball still out there, and there's also Driftwood, which is also something else that got canceled, but I don't know too much about that. But it was along lines of some of those other newer, like Infinity Train and stuff. What other stuff that got canceled? So yeah, it's kind of slashing and burn stuff.
Crazy,
I didn't know,
man.
Yeah, that Steve Urkel thing, I also didn't know about that until this came about. So I'm like, what the world was that about?
Oh my goodness. I mean, no, but in all seriousness, that Batman news is really tough to deal with. That's
How
just
do you cancel
tough.
a Bruce Timm project at this point, knowing that this is the dude that put you there,
right?
In a sense, but then again, it's this fool that's over Discovery, Warner Brothers now, so
right.
That's got a lot to do with that, and that's a continuing story. Anywho, Shazam! Fury of the Gods and Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom both have been delayed. So in an updated calendar, Warner Brothers announced that the Shazam sequel will now be released on March 17th, 2023, instead of December 21st, 2022. Probably still going to be a Christmas movie, though. This March date was originally held by Aquaman 2, which is now being pushed back to December 25th, 2023. Weird. No reason was given for the delay, and yet the movies like Black Adam and The Flash appear to be keeping their release dates and original people because of that latter one, which I'm still we're not gonna go back on that again because that's still some bullshit. Next up.
So, this is news to me. It's long been reported that the new administration at Warner Brothers Discovery, as we've been discussing, was looking to hire a new head of DC who would guide the company's DC Extended Universe film franchise in a manner similar to what Kevin Feige has done with the MCU. Apparently, the search is nearing its conclusion, according to The Hollywood Reporter. This is according to, obviously it's still rumor at this point, but this is a legitimate publication that reports on Hollywood news. Producer Dan Lin is in talks to become the new DC chief. In this role, Lin would oversee DC's film and television divisions. Sources say that he would be reporting directly to Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav, bypassing Warner Brothers picture bosses Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi, HBO Max and HBO chief Casey Bloys, and Warner Brothers television chairwoman Channing Dungey. In other words, control of DC's screen projects would rest squarely in Lin's hands. The Hollywood Reporter also reports that should Lin take over DC, current DC Films president Walter Hamada would transition out of that role. In spite of this report, however, Variety reports that while Lin is indeed in the running, Warner Brothers Discovery has yet to extend him a formal offer. Furthermore, there's still many hurdles standing in the way of any deal moving forward. So we will remain in touch with the news and with you folks to let you know if this is in fact getting ready to happen.
Did you mention where this person is notable? I guess supposedly notable from.
Well, he produced the Lego Movie and the Lego Movie 2, the second part, as well as the DC-themed spin-off, the Lego Batman movie, and another spin-off in the form of the Lego Ninjago movie. He's also produced live-action Warner Brothers productions like Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, It, and It Chapter 2. Okay.
Yeah. So, there you go. A name I had never heard of before now. And actually, I don't think I've watched any of those movies now that I think about it. But, hey. Nevertheless, Secret Invasion wraps reshoots. Apparently, according to this article, photography on Secret Invasion is close to over, with Samuel L. Jackson celebrating the occasion on social media. This is from a couple of weeks ago. Let's see, the Marvel mainstay shared a selfie on Instagram saying Wrap Day on the upcoming show was underway. The series had been shooting additional scenes in and around London for the better half of 3 weeks. And again, like I said, this is an article from August 14th, so that is a thing that has happened already. Next up.
Sorry, let me pull this story up. So there is a report. Secret Invasion's Emilia Clarke, the former Daenerys Targaryen, is cast as a key Skrull. And according to an insider, Clarke will reportedly appear in Secret Invasion as a Skrull from Marvel Comics known as Gia/Gloria Warner, although this has not been officially confirmed. Created by Robbie Thompson and Nico Henrikon, Gia made her Marvel Comics debut in Meet the Skrulls #1 in 2019.
So when I saw this, I was thinking, what, key Skrull, is it going to be Queen Ferengi?
That's what I thought when I read it. When I read the headline and then I started reading the article, I'm like, huh? Exactly. Really? You know what my response should be? Where are you, Korath? Where did I put you, Korath?
Who?
Thank you.
So for those that don't know, Queen Ferengi, I guess that's how to pronounce it, I'm not sure, but was one of the bigger antagonists of Secret Invasion, let's just say, from what I remember reading of Secret Invasion. So, and it has recently come back up in the pages of Spider-Woman at the end of that run. So, anywho, we'd already talked about this. This is what the Disney She-Hulk's timeline in the MCU, so we're going to skip that. Mark Ruffalo says Avengers Secret Wars will go out with a big bang. Haha, get it? Cause big bow, yeah. And it all started. Anyway, in an interview with Entertainment Weekly at the premiere of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, or as this week's title card say, She-Hulk Attorney for Hire. But anyway, Ruffalo was asked how Secret Wars would be compared to 2019's Avengers Endgame. He quotes, "Well, it's going to be hard to top Endgame." It's true. "But if I know Marvel Studios president," I love how they have that in quotes, Kevin Feige, and if I know Marvel, it's going to be pretty amazing, the actor revealed. It'll be a big bang. We'll go out with a big bang, Ruffalo, who said. Anytime. Oh, he was also asked about rumors of a World War Hulk movie was in development or not, and he said, anytime they want to do it, I'm here. Which, again, this article is from August 16th, before this episode of She-Hulk came out. I think we can't assume that it's still going to happen, but I feel like they're making headway to where that's probably going to be a thing that happens. Next up,
Thor: Love and Thunder is coming to Disney Plus very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Disney has confirmed that Thor: Love and Thunder will be available on Disney Plus starting September 8th. So it's only a little bit more than a week away, with the date now acting as its new Disney Plus Day. The move keeps up Disney Plus's recent trend to bring its Marvel Cinematic Universe blockbusters to the streaming service just a few months later after their cinema debut. Thor: Love and Thunder only hit theaters on July 8th.
Yep. And I believe the assembled making of is also going to drop that day of Thor: Love and Thunder. I believe it says that in this article. If it doesn't, I know I saw another article that said as much. So
Right.
WandaVision director Matt Shakman in talks to helm Marvel's Fantastic Four movie. There was also another article saying that I believe he was attached to the Star Trek movie that they're trying to get off the ground, the next Star Trek movie, but I think that has been he's off of that because not because of this, but surrounding this, put it that way.
Right. I was about to say, I think it's mostly related to this.
Right.
I don't, it's early. It's too early to say because of this, but
Right.
we're pretty sure it's because of this.
Yeah, I mean, there's even in this article, we still don't know. Like, it's just saying there's rumors, it's in talks. That doesn't mean he's doing it. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. Marvel's not commenting on us also, so there's nothing concrete in this whatsoever. But he's in talks for it. He could be next in line to do Fantastic Four if that happens off, and that Star Trek movie is just going to go wherever it is going to go, or who is it going to go to? Next up.
All right. Ant-Man star Michael Pena plays coy on a possible Quantumania return. So he recently refused to either confirm or deny that he's going to return for the upcoming sequel, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Good for you, because we all know that the laser sights are going to be fixed on you if you let spill any of the beans. Look out, Michael Pena!
I mean, they wouldn't get him for saying whether he's in it or not. Well, you know what? They probably would.
It depends. That's the thing. It depends.
They have to have him. He's like I don't know. He don't have to, but I don't know. It'd be a
Right.
shame
Well,
if they
because,
didn't have him.
because of what happened to T.I., right? So because of what happened to T.I., there's there's like less of a reason to bring in those particular characters, but he was obviously the lead supporting character. Then there's David Dastmalchian's character, the Baba Yaga,
Kurt or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was Kurt.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. I mean, T.I. is no great loss, but yeah, like you gotta have Luis in here though.
Right.
Somebody's got to narrate. So who but Luis? That's all I'm saying. It's gotta happen.
Got it.
Somebody's gonna roll up to Kang and be like, "No, man, it's like this." I'm not gonna go through the whole thing because I'm not, but I'm just saying somebody got to go talk to Kang, and who better but Luis? That's all I'm saying. Anywho, Punisher Warzone receives 4K Ultra HD Steelbook Blu-ray release. That's a lot for 2008 movie. Lionsgate's 2008 big screen. I'm saying big screen loosely, but anyway. Lionsgate's 2008's big screen Marvel adaptation Punisher Warzone is getting a new deluxe 4K Blu-ray edition in October. It's getting trimmings and some featurettes and some audio commentary with director Lexi Alexander and director of photography Steve Gaynor. And also includes our explorations into the film's visuals and weapons, along with a study of its main antagonist, Jigsaw. So yeah, I can't remember if that was the better of the two Punisher movies or not. I don't know.
I think it was. I mean, the Thomas Jane one wasn't terrible, but it just wasn't comic accurate. This one strove to be a little bit more comic accurate, because it had microchip and some other stuff. But yeah, this is the one I think is a little bit more comic accurate.
Yeah.
Neither of them are MCU level comic accurate.
Neither of them are supposedly great either. But I mean, yeah, supposedly people like supposedly people like this one more than the other one.
Yep. I can say that. I can say that I am in that boat as well.
Yeah. So I don't know. I have to watch these one of these days. Next up.
Yep. Next up. So, the late Nichelle Nichols, who played Lieutenant Uhura in the original Star Trek, will reportedly have her ashes sent into space. According to the not quite reputable TMZ, the actor's ashes will be added to the United Launch Alliance's Vulcan Centaur rocket. I mean, come on. Of course it would be the Vulcan Centaur rocket, which is set to launch for the moon in December 2022. The rocket will also carry the remains of Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry, as well as James Doohan, who played Scotty in the original series, and Majel Barrett Roddenberry, who played Nurse Chapel.
Yeah, you had it right, Majel, yeah. So yeah, normally I wouldn't take up anything that's citing from TMZ, but I think I have also seen this in other more reputable places. But this is the only article that I've seen that was the first article I saw about it, so let's be honest with that. So anyway, I'm actually going to take these next two.
Hey, go for it.
Because they were dealing with the live action Avatar, the last Airbender thing that is still going on apparently. So one, they find their Mai, which completes Azula's trio. According to Avatar News, Thalia Tran, who has previously starred in titles such as Raya and the Last Dragon, will portray the Fire Nation noble in the upcoming show and will enjoy an expanded role from her animated counterpart. So there's that. And Francois Chow is from The Expanse, who's a character I'm not entirely sure if I remember or not. Also joins the Avatar adaptation in a role of uncertain size, according to this article, and that news is coming from the same rumor site. So take this. I guess I don't know if it's a rumor site, but whatever. Apparently, he's best known for Lost and The Expanse, and was also in Raya and the Last Dragon, and
it's Raya.
Raya, excuse me, pardon.
It's okay.
And DC's Birds of Prey movie, which I vaguely remember him in. Nevertheless, yeah, but we don't know who this person is playing. Next up.
Gotcha. Next up, Star Wars Vision showrunner James Waugh teases that season 2 of the Disney Plus series will move beyond anime and explore other animation types. So he spoke to Deadline about crafting the unique Star Wars anthology series and how the upcoming second season will continue to evolve the show's approach to animation. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, well, I guess.
Yeah, no, they said that it's sort of a global tour of some of the most interesting animation studios on a global level. That's it.
Right, which makes sense because there was nothing inherently saying, hey, this is strictly anime.
Right.
Because it's not called Star Wars Anime, it was called Star Wars Visions. So it makes sense. Makes total sense.
Absolutely.
But still looking forward one way or the other. Now we're getting to the anime corner.
Anime corner!
Properly. Sailor Moon's lost American pilot has been found. So, yeah, folks, there was supposed to be.
Supposed to be.
Yeah, supposed to be an Americanized version of the Sailor Moon anime, live action, if I'm not mistaken. 'Cause, if I didn't watch this, but I feel like for some strange reason I feel like I've seen this, and I don't know why. So this is from DIC, DIC, purveyors of Inspector Gadget and the like.
Right.
Back in the 80s, you couldn't step too many places without finding a DIC animated project.
Exactly.
So, but it says here, unlike the original dubbed adaptation from. Oh no! Wait! I'm sorry. No, this is not from DIC. I think it's from Saban. Yeah. DIC did the animated dub of Sailor Moon, and from all accounts, horribly bad when they brought it over to America. This is about Saban, the purveyors of the Power Rangers. Thank you. Who decided to say, "Hey, let's do a live-action Sailor Moon." And which apparently did not get off the ground because the pilot was shot but buried because apparently it didn't test well or something. It says it was produced in full, lost the time. And the only real way fans in the current age has seen it was a camera recording of the pilot footage during a convention decades ago. According to this, wait, okay, that's funny. So some YouTuber named Ray Ramona, whose real name is Raven Simone, and I don't think it's that Raven Simone, uncovered the lost pilot through months of digging. And basically put it out on YouTube, so you can check the Sailor Moon, the Sabanification of Sailor Moon for yourself, in all its glory. And I believe this was like '90s, so it was like that Turtles, whatever that VR Troopers. It was along those lines of good, bad. I would say. Anyway, next up.
So apparently when it comes to thrilling anime IPs, you can't do much better than Psycho-Pass. Is this on my list? That's what just made me... That's why I literally just had my notebook in my hands. So the franchise has some of the best drama in anime, but it's been a while since there's been any new content. But the anime is celebrating its 10th anniversary, and reports have confirmed the anime is working on a new film that will dish out all sorts of juicy drama. So this was reported via Twitter. So according to a new report from Production IG, Psycho-Pass Providence is in production at the studio. Okay. So it was made public, and there's been a poster released.
Right. I know people love Psycho-Pass. I don't think I've ever watched it though. I might have watched.
Yeah, it's not on. I don't see it on my list. You think I should add it? Mob Psycho is what I have, but not Psycho-Pass.
I would say confer with your the members of your
anime advisory committee
council. Yeah. Yes, because they would probably know better than I do on this one. I will defer to them on that one.
Okay, will do. I will run it by them.
Meanwhile. Oh, wait, is this me or you?
No. I just did Psycho-Pass, so go ahead.
One Punch Man Season 3 announced. What else needs to be said? Anyway, as reported by Crunchyroll, the official website for the One Punch Man TV anime confirmed on Thursday, or recently, that a third season of the hit show was going into production. A key visual drawn by the character designer Chikashi Kubota, I can speak, I promise, was posted alongside the announcement. The artwork features Saitama and Garou, but doesn't offer any other teasers of what might actually involve in the upcoming season. Feel like it wrapped up fairly decently, but I can go for some more One Punch Man. So, sure, why not? Next up.
Alrighty. Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury, the first main series in the legendary mecha franchise since 2016's Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, is set to kick off with a simultaneous broadcast in and out of Japan this October. But if you can't wait that long for a glimpse, a special prologue episode is on the way very soon. Sunrise has confirmed that The Witch from Mercury prologue, a one-off episode set before the events of the primary series, will begin streaming on the Gundam Info YouTube channel for free from September 1st. Okay.
Ooh, that's in a couple of days. Yay.
Yeah.
I will look
Interesting.
Yeah. Dragon Ball Superhero dominates weekend box office with record opening. Neither Agent 70 or I have had. Well, wait. Yeah.
I have watched it.
Okay, that's yes, because I know we talked about
We discussed this the other day. I have watched it. And all of the reports of storyline and the focus of the storyline were absolutely true.
Okay. So, yeah, it did pretty well. But then, let's see, how much did it pull in? According to whatever, a solid 20 mil USD in the opening weekend. That's pretty good. The big achievement comes on the heels of Crunchyroll's biggest theatrical release to date. With nearly 4,000 screens showing the movie, Dragon Ball Superhero had the largest drop of an anime movie stateside to date, and it did the same on a global scale to boot. So, yeah, it did some numbers. I think if somebody was like, hey, we should look into this anime thing. I know I saw somebody saying out there, but it's Dragon Ball. Of course it was going to do some numbers. So, cool. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, never mind. I was about to say, it just says that Bullet Train movie was second. And looks like maybe third was Top Gun, which is apparently still in the theaters.
Yeah, because they're actually, on top of Top Gun Maverick being a definite old school throwback, it's so popular that they're just keeping it in theaters for as long as they can to try to milk it as long as they can. Although it has already dropped on video on demand, but it's not streaming technically on any service yet, but it's on video on demand right now. I did see it while I was scrolling through. I still have cable, so I was still scrolling through my Verizon Fios, and I saw it on the video on demand channel.
Gotcha. But cool. Next up,
so Akira Toriyama says basically that he got to see the completed Dragon Ball superhero movie, and to put it shortly, he says it's an amazing anime movie. Of course, to have the original creator say that may not be the most convincing argument, but he couldn't help but get excited when he was watching it. He says, "I'm an old man, and yet I got excited." Okay, good for him.
So, while this sounds like not news, it is kind of, because let us think about the fact that GT is out there, which he had nothing to do with, that he has Super has overwritten. So if he didn't like this movie, I would like to believe, I can't speak for him, I would like to believe that he wouldn't pull any punches on it. But also, let's face it, he was involved with this one, so I don't think he was gonna say nothing bad about something he was involved with.
Right. Obviously, he didn't see like the final animation until recently, but good for him that he's happy with it.
Yeah, and that's all you would kind of hope for, Let's see. Bleach 1,000-Year War report teases new anime updates coming soon. So basically, there's rumors that there's going to be which we've talked about in the past. I realize that now, but there's rumors that there's going to be. Well, we know it's coming. We don't know necessarily when it's coming. So according to a recent write-up in Shonen Jump that revealed the fact that it's preparing to drop. So even though the details of the revelations are still clouded in mystery. So yeah, we know it's coming. It sounds like it's probably close to coming, but we don't know when and what it all is entailed. What's all involved. So I'm looking forward to it one way or the other. And I need to catch up on Bleach. Next up.
My Hero Academia is slated to bring its latest season to life this fall, and all eyes are on the show ahead of its comeback. So season 6 promises to bring one of the story's most intense arcs yet to life on the screen. Fans are waiting on edge for more updates, and now we've learned that 2 songs which accompany the season as themes have been released, or at least been yeah, it looks like they're recognized now. So it turns out season 6 is going with fresh talent where its music is concerned. So you can read up on songs below us. And on these songs, the opening is Hitamuki by Super Beaver. Super Beaver is a Japanese group that's actually done music for Haikyuu. And the ending music is Sketch by Kiro Akiyama. So it looks like you can access these online.
Wait, did you know that the super? Well, I assume knowing. I don't know why I asked that question, but I assume you do Super Beaver right off the rip. But
right, as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, they've done music for Haikyuu."
Right, because I was like, "Wait, did that say that in this article?" It's like, look at Agent 70 coming up with the anime music knowledge already.
Again, tables turning, folks. Tables turning. Where I actually know a little bit more about anime than Roddykat, just for a second.
And now we move over into the comic book news. Meet Nightwing's very own Batmite, Nightmite. That's the name, Nightmite. Say that 5 times fast.
Okay.
Why? Revealed on Twitter by Nightwing series writer Tom Taylor and artist Bruno Redondo, Nightwing 98 marks the first appearance of Nightmite, a character designed by artist Danielle Di Nicolo, and inspired, of course, by Batmite. The future issue will be written by Taylor with interior art by Nicolo and main cover art by Redondo. If Nightmite is anything like Batmite, according to this article, chaos should be heading Dick Grayson's way in the issue. Yeah, I don't know why either, but hey, there you go. Next up.
So these are some spoilers for Deceased War of the Undead Gods #1, which I think came out last week. And bottom line is that, I don't want to spoil this because, I'm not reading this. I think Roddykat is reading this. Like Deceased stuff.
I was reading this, but I dropped off of it a while ago.
Oh, okay. But bottom line is there is a story-based reason why Batman and members of the Bat family cannot be brought back because of something in this Deceased storyline. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, I mean, it's been out.
I don't want to get into it. I really don't. Because this is just a little too spoilery.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Batman and Robin, Batman versus Robin assembles Zatanna, Constantine, and other magic users. So this is for that upcoming event of the name that pits Bruce Wayne against Damian. And apparently they're going to have some magic users involved. Looks like most of them, if not all of them. So, let's see. DC released a comic trailer for the 5-issue miniseries showing panels drawn by Batman vs. Robin artist Mahmoud Rajrar and narrated by series writer Mark Waid. In the video, Waid name drops several DC magicians, heroes and villains involved in the Batman vs. Robin. And that includes the aforementioned Zatanna, John Constantine, Etrigan the Demon, Felix Faust, and Tanarak. It promises readers that, quote, "You're going to be seeing as many of the magic characters as we have in the DC universe," unquote. So it says that something is horribly wrong in the magic realm during the title, with some panels showing Zatanna hanging from a rope, plants protruding from Constantine's body as Swamp Thing watches in horror, and more. The root of the chaos is said to be Damian Wayne. Which reminds me, I haven't read this week's Robin. And I don't know if that has, I assume whatever's happening in that is probably leading up to this. But hey, sure. Next up. And actually, I think probably something coming out of World's Finest, now that I think about it, might be kind of coming to this. But we'll see, I guess. Next up.
So this story contains spoilers for a couple weeks now. A couple weeks old comic, Dark Crisis Young Justice #3. Bottom line here is that Young Justice #3 sees Superboy, Impulse, and Robin being urged to start killing villains as the result of the quote-unquote death of the Justice League. And now some of the characters are being urged to take much more harsher measures as the villains have made their move as the result of Pariah and this Dark Crisis stuff.
Hey, Pariah, we don't go back like... Okay, anyway.
Oh, no, I just figured out what you were trying to adapt. Okay.
DC result reveals Jon Stewart's shocking Green Lantern secret. Dun, dun, dun. This is spoilers for Dark Crisis World Without a Justice League Green Lantern #1, which is on sale... Wait, this is... Wait, a week old or something? I guess, I don't know. I'm not reading any of this Dark Crisis book. Anyway, let's see. This book throws Jon Stewart into a world where he's become the ultimate Green Lantern, and his sister Eleanor has become the central power battery. Wait, that's kind of messed up. Let's see. It comes from Philip Kennedy Johnson, artist Fernando Blanco, colorist Jody Belair, and letterer Troy Bateri. It's a one-shot set after the events of Justice League 75, where Jon Stewart and the rest of the Justice League, apart from Black Adam, were defeated and captured by Pariah and his Dark Army. Which I still haven't read that either, so... But yeah, this kind of goes on there. I won't say too much more about that, but apparently Jon Stewart's got a secret, and only you can guess. See if you can guess. Next up.
For the first time in over a decade, Jim Lee's WildC.A.T.S, his original concept and creator-owned characters, which were later bought out by DC when DC bought Wildstorm, are hitting comic book shops with a brand new series that will see them facing none other than Gotham City's Court of Owls. WildC.A.T.S #1, written by Matthew Rosenberg and illustrated by Steven Segovia, goes on sale in November. The issue sees Cold Cash, being better known as the red mask wearing, gun toting renegade, never been afraid to talk, grifter. Did you get what I was quoting?
I was assuming Renegade by Eminem.
Well, it's really Jay-Z, but yeah, it's also true that Eminem probably took that entire song over. Yeah. But working for the Halo Corporation to assemble a group of operatives with the goal of completing missions in the outskirts of the DC universe. Okay.
Yeah. DC launches a new Justice Society of America series with Jeff Johns and Mikael Janin. Let's see. The JSA headlines its first monthly ongoing series in years this November with the aforementioned creative team. Justice Society of America #1 features a bevy of long-standing JSA heroes, including the original Flash, Green Lantern, and Hawkman, as they team up to defeat an unusual enemy who's disrupted temporal history, because that's always the way. The Time Masters, DC's Defenders of the Time Stream, led by Rick Hunter, are also teased to make an appearance. Preview of the cover of Justice Society #1 also shows Huntress, presumably the Helena Wayne version, originally from Earth 2, standing in front of her forebears. So, there you go. If you like the JSA, and I know some of you do, there you go. Next up.
Luke Fox, who is the brother of Jace Fox, one of the two current Batmans, and Luke Fox is also the former Batwing, dons a brand new superhero suit. Where is my brand new superhero suit? In Harley Quinn #21, although the character says he's still working on a superhero name. Okay.
It's a interesting looking suit because, excuse me, as you quote Frozone, it kind of does look like that.
Right, it's like Frozone with a cat look and a little Ripclaw / Lady Deathstrike, you know?
Yep. So.
Like Ripclaw, it's funny though, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of like Ripclaw / Warblade from the Image days, you know, when everyone was doing a Wolverine knockoff. You know, Ripclaw, I think was the Cyberforce one, and Warblade was the one that was from WildC.A.T.S, the previously mentioned WildC.A.T.S.
I'll take your word for it because I wasn't reading either of those.
Okay, I definitely was. I was definitely an art follower at the time, so.
Gotcha. So yeah, that's the thing. Wonder Woman's sister, I like how they couch that. Wonder Woman's sister Nubia is joining the Justice League. So, keeps it in the family. Revealed in DC's November 2022 solicitations, which I believe have been out a week or so, if I'm not mistaken. Nubia and the Justice League Nubia and the Justice League Special #1 comes from writers Becky Cloonan, Michael W. Conrad, and Stephanie Williams, and artist Ammon K. Nahurupan and Aletha Martinez. In honor of the character's 50th anniversary, the one-shot will see Nubia join in with Superman, Batman, and the rest of the Justice League to battle a mysterious enemy. And it goes into the synopsis that pretty much repeats what I just said. So I guess, let me see. So Diana, Hippolyta, and now Nubia have all joined the Justice League. So I'm just saying, you got to keep those legacy going, you know. And this comes out September 6th. Oh, wait, no, is that right? November 29th is when this comes out. It's talking about the Nubia Queen of Amazon miniseries that ends with on September 6th. So there you go. Next up.
Steel returns in the upcoming Death of Superman 30th anniversary special. And that special features 4 new tales centered on Superman's death, and one of them delves into the character of John Henry Irons, better known as Steel. And this story is going to be written by Wheezy Simonson and illustrated by John Bogdanove, with colors by Glenn Whitmore and letters by Rob Lee. And the story focuses on John before he dons his high-tech armor as an ode to Superman. Okay.
Yeah, I'm interested in checking that out. I remember I remember skimming Death of Superman because that was kind of one of those things like, oh, I wasn't really reading books, but then I was happened to be in the comics and seeing that. I mean, in the store and reading it, seeing that. And
right.
Let me thumb through the trade when the trade was out. I'm
right.
Like, this was a whole lot.
Oh yes, it was.
And then that terrible move with Shaq, lest we forget. Which weirdly deserves a revisitation. I don't know why I said that. Probably will never happen. Next up, though, DC pits Static against his most personal enemy yet. So this is, let's see, a reveal at the cover work for Static Shadows of Dakota's number 3, 2, and 3. Written by Vita Ayala and Nicholas Draper Ivy, which is also illustrated by Draper Ivy. Let's see, Shadows of Dakota 2 is slated to hit comic book shops Tuesday, November 1st. Issue 3 will follow suit on December 6th. Let's see, the issue follows Virgil Hawkins Static as he seeks out the leader of a vigilante group hunting down the Bang Babies. Among those in the crosshair is Virgil's friend Quincy, who is beginning to manifest superpowers, kind of almost like in the show. So yeah, this article has some cover art by Nicholas Draper Ivy, who's done some great work with that series. You should check it out when you get a chance. Next up,
so the Royal Mail in the United Kingdom is about to introduce some amazing postage stamps featuring heroes from the 80s who are none other than the Transformers More Than Meets the Eyes. So this is G1 stuff. The art here is reminiscent of the G1 art from the animated series, as well as the box art on the Transformers toys. The collection will be available starting on September 1st. And the cheapest way to grab all 13 is with the Transformers presentation pack, which will sell for 17.5 pounds or about $21 in United States dollars.
If you're wondering if Roddykat is thinking about trying to find this, maybe.
There
Next
you go.
Marvel receives 2 Toy of the Year nominations for 2022. So I didn't know there was such a thing, but apparently there's a Toy of the Year award. That celebrates the best of the best within the toy and collectibles industry across 17 categories, with Marvel receiving honors in both Construction Toy of the Year and Doll of the Year categories. And both of those are for I Am Groot Lego set. That's one for the Construction Toy of the Year. And the Doll of the Year is for that newly released Black Panther Wakanda Forever collectible dolls that we talked about, I think, last week on the show. So, if you're watching the video version, you can see the Lego Groot thing, and you can see the dolls of Okoye and Nakia, and I guess that's supposed to be Riri. I don't know who that's supposed to be. Oh, yes, that's supposed to be Shuri. Excuse me. Okoye, Shiguri, and Nakia. So, there you go. Go vote, folks. The cast is valid between now and September 2nd, which is a few days from now as of this recording. So, you ain't got much time. Next up.
So to help celebrate the 60th anniversary of Spider-Man, Toy&K, or Toink, has released 2 new cozy Sherpa blankets showing off some classic Spider-Man comic book covers. So the new blanket looks cozy and features 60 classic comic book covers, including Amazing Fantasy number 15, Marvel Team Up number 9, Amazing Spider-Man 316, Spider-Man Torment number 1, and the Spectacular Spider-Man number 200. The 72 by 67 inch blanket comes in either red or blue solid color backing, and you can get these for $59.99 right now.
Medusa with the living hair that'll get you. Oh, sorry. I was being reminded of Spidey and his amazing friends because of one of these covers.
That's fun.
But yeah, that's if you're
It's kind of
watching.
cool.
Yeah, if you're watching the video version, you can. I assume you can. That's what the thing is going to look like. Just a bunch of covers stitched together. So.
Right. And I'm like, wait a second. I gotta measure that out. I'm like, is that 72 by 67? Like, what does that cover? Is that a queen or king size, or
That's
a Sherpa blanket? I'm like, oh, I'm kind of curious to like measure this out and see what that actually covers, or if it's just like a throw blanket. Because from one of the pictures in the image, it looks like it's a throw blanket.
Yeah.
Like you see the lady with the dog.
Oh wait.
You see that? Like if you click through the slideshow.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have to go through to the Toy&K link at the bottom of the story.
Yeah. Okay. In fact,
Right. So I'm not 100% sure if this actually covers you if you're on a bed, but it looks like a nice, like a throw blanket if you're on the couch.
Actually, yeah, there is a I don't know. Yeah, it's just the picture I think you were talking about with the lady on the couch.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. That looks
right. It's hard to tell. Like I said, now that they give you the dimensions, you could just grab a tape measure and just measure. I forget what a king or queen bed actually measures out to be.
That definitely can't be a king though. That's
right. Definitely not. That seems too small.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. But it's just it's a good look. So you have to measure that one out for yourself.
Right.
Did you say the price? $60?
Yes, $59.99.
Yeah. Next up, Marvel's Black Panther's Dreams of Wakanda gets official release date. So, Marvel Studios recently announced Dreams of Wakanda, a book created by contributors involved in producing the 2018 Black Panther film, will be released on September 6th, 2022. The book features an analysis of the cultural impacts of the film, as well as a behind-the-scenes look at the features of fashion and art. How much is this going to be? Disney has partnered with Penguin Random House for Dreams of Wakanda's release. The company has organized an event for the book launch and intends on donating part of the proceeds to two charitable organizations, First Books and Books for Africa. While Disney will be donating $1 million to First Book, Penguin will be making a donation of approximately $100,000 to Books for Africa. First Books is a non-profit organization that works to aid undeserved communities and close the gap in basic needs and educational equity. Books for Africa was founded to, quote, end the book famine in Africa. So, let's see. Yep. Release date, and it's currently, I don't see a price for this book. But pre-orders are definitely on right now, so, and I don't see a link to go through it. Next up, though, while I look that up.
Okay. Let's see here. So for over 30 years, Marvel has collected the seminal stories of the Marvel Universe and Marvel Masterworks, and now, 330 volumes later, you'd be breaking your bookcase with that. Marvel is proud to welcome fans to Marvel, Remasterworks. By popular demand, the Remasterworks will be new printings of early Marvel Masterworks, now with improved restoration and expanded bonus material, including scans of original art, essays, and covers from other collections of the material, house ads, creator bios, and more. Dedicated to Marvel fans, these are the comics that built the Marvel Comics mythology and represent Marvel's latest step in preserving its treasured history. So this will debut next year, starting with The Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1. And have some other early ones. And, talk about, making people, dip into their pockets to pay for the same thing again, but calling it an extended edition. That's all. I don't know if Roddykat has a comment on that.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I was like, tis what consumerism runs on. The price for that Dreams of Wakanda book is $25. And again,
Okay.
you can go ahead and pre-order that wherever. But yeah,
Right.
I don't have any of those Masterworks. So for this, if I were to get any of these, it would be a first time buy.
Right.
But yeah, I can understand for people like yourself and other folks who've already kind of dipped in, like, why would
Right.
I
I mean,
do
I've
this
never
again?
bought one, to be honest. I
Oh,
was
okay.
never interested in that.
Okay.
But I know people that are.
Right.
And of course, I think there are going to be people that missed out the first time around, and they'll appreciate being able to get these early, these early volumes that have long been out of print. But
Yeah.
it's just not something, I'm a bookshelf person, but not for my comics. I don't know if that will change as as I get older, to be honest, because
Right.
now that my physical pull list has ended for now, I mean, at least temporarily, I'm wondering what's going to happen to my physical comic book collection and how what my attitude towards it is going to be.
Right.
Now that it's no longer technically growing at the rate that it was. It'll still grow here and there when I realize that there are gaps gaps that I want to fill still, like my Uncanny X-Men run.
Right.
But, we'll see.
I feel like there's probably an artist edition that'll probably come at some point that you'll be like, you know what? Yes, I do want this.
An artist edition of this?
Or something.
Of
Or something.
Right. I mean, I definitely have like a few select artists that I would want to get artist editions of. So I understand the point. I've gotten a lot of the Jim Lee ones that I want, the Walt Simonson ones that I want. We'll see if they ever do a Perez one. That's going to be in high demand now that he's passed away.
Yeah. So, move right along. Star Wars reveals revelations to reveal Galaxy's future.
Yep.
New announcements from Star Wars and Marvel has revealed that Star Wars Revelations, a new one-shot that will offer glimpses into the galaxy's future. While the majority of the Marvel's Star Wars titles currently takes place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, this new comic will offer a preview of what lies ahead for 2023 and beyond in the galaxy far, far away. Starring Darth Vader and a fateful return to his to his world of Mustafar, the Dark Lord of the Sith will be given key insight from one of the galaxy's most mysterious beings. Dun, dun, dun. By the way, there's a I think was it Dark Horse or who? Yeah, have some Star Wars hyper stories came out this week. If you're a Star Wars fan, which I suspect if you are, you probably already know about that already. I haven't checked it out yet, but hey, let us know how you feel about it. Next up, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic protagonist Darth Revan's lightsaber is getting a gorgeous new model courtesy of Hasbro Star Wars Force FX Elite line of premium lightsabers. Okay, let's see what the price is on this. Well, it's probably like 150. Knowing.
Yeah, I'm still looking. Doesn't say in the article. I don't see a number.
Because those Force FX sabers are a little pricey.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is this is the shifts between the red and purple.
Mm-hmm. Which is
one
cool.
of the key differences.
Yeah, which hey, it works for it works for Samuel Jackson. So
right.
Yeah, Revan is a.
Oh, is it Revan, not
Revan?
Revan?
Yeah.
Oh, Revan.
He's.
Is.
I will say he's a part of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, the video game, which he hasn't been necessarily canonized. But yeah, and I guess this article slightly spoils it because of basically of who Revan actually is in relation to that video game. But nevertheless, this is cool. I don't know if I find the price of this thing, but let's just say it's going to be pricey and move on. Next up, Amy Hennig's Marvel game is an ensemble, not focused on a single hero. So, coming on the heels of a busy... Wait, really? Okay. San Diego Comic-Con, Disney appears to be teeing up some big news for audiences to dig into when D23 kicks off in September, which, now that I think about it, yes, that is also around the corner.
Yeah.
Gamers especially have plenty to look forward to at the event. I don't know if that's true, but there are some things. As Disney will host a digital showcase for its slate of upcoming games. For much of the focus being on several Star Wars and Marvel games currently in development. One of said Marvel games is known to be from Skydance. Skydance's Amy Hennig. Amy Hennig, excuse me. She is one of the key people behind the the Nathan Drake series that they just made a movie out of. That now I'm
Was it Uncharted?
Thank you, Uncharted. Yes. She was one of the masterminds behind that. So, there's going to be, at the very least, some good writing behind it. If I'm not mistaken. And it does say I should have just scrolled down, because I would have seen this. Let's see. Amy Hennig's Marvel game is one of the two games the industry veteran is heading up as a part of Skydance New Media. Let's see. It said charter director. So what else is in here? Just followed up and announcing it was working on another such game, such as Lucas game set. And so yeah, she was also supposed to be working on this other Star Wars game that got scrapped, and I think that might be being repurposed into something else now. So we'll see what shapes up when D23 pops up. Next up,
Hasbro's Marvel Legends live stream on August 10th had an announcement of a 5-pack exclusive Spider-Man related set that went live on August 16th. That's exclusive to Amazon. And in this set, you have Silvermane, Molten Man, Marvel's Human Fly, and Marvel's Razorback. So this is a bunch of villains that are both menacing and bizarre. It's a crazy mix, as well as and it also includes a Spider-Man in a black suit that's a little bit younger looking. You know, it definitely is like a smaller version. Also introduced at this event. But you know, obviously, I'm not going to go through this because the event was back on August 10th. But you know, it's gone live now.
Yeah, yeah. For $127, all of those characters mentioned can be yours if you.
Yeah, the price of Marvel Legends has gone up appreciably, noticeably, to the point where it's like, well, you know what? You know, it's not as fun to just sort of buy them just to have them. You kind of have to think about, you know what? Do I really want this character? That's kind of where I am right now.
Right.
Because I've got a whole bunch of Marvel Legends, and I'm like, do I really need this particular character?
Yeah, none of these are particularly noteworthy.
Right. I mean, it'd be nice to have a silver, like a full-bodied Silvermane, and not a head that runs around on a little RC car that came with whatchamacallit? Who's the I forget who that running. You know, it's a villain who runs fast. He's one of the what's that?
Speed Demon?
Yeah, Speed Demon. Thank you. I was about to say he's one of the foes of Spider-Man. The whatchamacallit.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah.
Gotcha.
But anyway, moving on.
Going back to that Darth Revan lightsaber, it's $278.99.
Wow, it's even more than you thought.
Yeah, really. That's. I mean, again, still not surprising, but yeah, that's ridiculous.
Probably because of the color change thing.
Absolutely, yeah. It says advanced LED and sound effects. So yeah, there it is, folks. I kind of want it, but I ain't. That is not even gonna happen. Spider-Man 2099's Across the Spider-Verse Origin sounds remarkably comics accurate. So this is for merchandise, apparently, that is giving this away. It says here, an action figure for Spider-Man 2099 was recently spotted by comicbook.com with the following character description written on the box, which I will not go into, but take my word for it, in that it sounds like it's matches the character's origin story from the comics. So we know that Oscar Isaac is going to be voicing Spider-Man 29 in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So this is kind of coming off of that. Next up.
So, spoilers for Savage Avengers #4. I think this came out last week.
And I talked about it. I just didn't talk about this part.
Right. So, bottom line here is that it's that the story of Conan the Barbarian in Savage Avengers may be at an end or may not be, because there is a tease here. But ultimately, what we do know is that Marvel no longer has the license for Conan, and that Titan Comics has gained the publishing rights to Conan, and would start. And they're going to start publishing a new ongoing series featuring the character in May 2023. So Conan's journeys in the Marvel Universe seem to be over for now.
That's it. I will say that if this was the way that they were going to do it, it's pretty unceremonious, which I know that's not the end of it, because like they that would be real crazy if they just left it the way the way that book ended with that character.
Right. My guess is that if this is issue 4, they'll probably give him some kind of decent send-off by the 6th issue or the 5th issue, depending on, you know, when this first arc ends.
I suspect, and actually the next article might shed some light on that a little bit, but I suspect they're probably going to do something like they did with the last volume, and it's like, well, he's dead, but he's still there's still some things he's doing, so you know, after he's dead, so he's still going to be kicking until that gets dealt with, I guess.
Right.
So anyway, next up though, Marvel recruits Punisher 2099 into Savage Avengers. So yes, folks, that I know y'all thinking, ooh, Punisher 2099. We all know him. No, you don't. Apparently this is spoilers for Savage Avengers #4, but none of this actually happened in 20 to so. And I guess this article did update with that. So Punisher 29 will actually make Savage Avengers debut in issue number 6, which is going to be released October 5th. So let's see. Marvel Comics has officially announced that of Savage Avengers number 7 as a part of the November solicitations. Yada 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 yada. Jake Gallows, Punisher 2099, is going to join the team. And apparently there's a futuristic war zone ruled by Ultron that's going to be involved. And okay, sure, because they're still dealing with somebody else at this point. So hey, we'll see how they get from there to here, from here to there. Next up,
America Chavez teams up with Loki in a new Marvel Voices arc. So this is an all-new story in Marvel's Voices Infinity comic on the Marvel Unlimited app. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I won't get into it, but feel free to peruse the Marvel Unlimited app. This is not, they are not a sponsor. They are a tool that we use a lot. But this specific story, news story, is about using the app. A story that is new to the app.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how they do that, because there's like an X-Men run where they go in arcs of with different characters, and this is something similar to that with the Young Avengers. So yeah, may check that out. Anyway, Marvel's next X-Men event is about what happens when Mr. Sinister wins. So following last week's teaser, Marvel revealed that the X-Men's next big event will be titled Sins of Sinister. The storyline will throw the X-Men into a world in which Mr. Sinister has emerged victorious and throws all of mutant kind of a major loop. Enter now the Sins of Sinister, the publisher teased. So it says here, a new world, a new disaster. Mr. Sinister's plans come to fruition beyond his wildest dreams and his darkest nightmares. Can the X-Men survive the experience? Boom, boom. Can anyone discover how twisted mutant kind becomes when Mr. Sinister achieves victory in Sins of Sinister, a new crossover coming to the X-Men? Because we haven't finished the one we're in right now. January 23rd is the release date, so it is not that far away. Next up.
This December, Universal powerhouse Monica Rambeau will star in a first ever solo comic series. A 5-issue limited series titled Monica Rambeau Photon will be written by Eve L. Ewing and drawn by new Marvel talent artist Michael Santamaria. The iconic Marvel superhero with 4 decades worth of amazing stories.
Boy, I'm getting too old for this shit.
Will at long last headline her own saga. Okay, very cool.
Yeah, she's never had she had a one shot. She came out of the Amazing Spider-Man annual. She had a one shot, and that's
right. That one shot is when she had like braids, right? Like on the cover.
I think that's right.
I want to say that's what I'm remembering seeing.
That might be right. I can't remember. I have read it, but I don't remember it.
All right.
It is kind of curious that it's she's going by. Well, I'm assuming anyway. She's going by Photon here as opposed to Spectrum, which has been what she's been going by the last few years. Like maybe there's or maybe she's not going around. I imagine that's just the name of the book. But
it's interesting. Maybe they've decided on Photon to for corporate synergy with the MCU.
I was kind of wondering about that because I made a joke on Twitter. It was like, wait, did Spectrum, the cable company, come after them?
Maybe. Maybe they don't want that kind of confusion. That's interesting. I didn't even think of that, to be honest.
But she's been going by it for years, so I can't imagine that would be the case. But then again,
well, maybe they'll come up with a story reason for her to go back to it.
Right.
Because if I recall, she went from Photon to Spectrum because Janice Vell, who's now back in the MCU in the Marvel Comics, took that away from her also.
That's right.
So
yeah, we'll find out. This was just something I was just pondering at the time. We don't, I'm looking forward to it regardless.
I find it funny that you immediately mentioned something I should have thought of. Like, oh, maybe they're just afraid of, of confusing this with the Spectrum cable company.
Because I don't want to believe that something like that would be the case, but I also know that something like that could very well be the case.
It makes sense. Yeah. It's much more plausible than anyone thinks.
It's a sad state of affairs. That's what it is.
No.
It is. It very much is.
It makes a lot of sense. Anyway, moving on.
Yes, that's you.
No, I did Photon. You're up next.
Oh wait, did you say that December?
Yeah.
Ewing, which I like her stuff, so that's cool. Janet Van Dyne. Speaking of Ewings, Janet Van Dyne flies higher than ever in Al Ewing and Kasia Nee's. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. My apologies. Wasp comic series. So Al Ewing's doing Ant-Man and the Wasp separately. That's funny. Since the dawn of the Marvel superhero age, Janet Van Dyne has enchanted comic book fans as the founding adventure known as the Wasp. Now, after 60 years of being a superhero and fashion icon, the character will headline a new 4-issue limited series. Arriving in January, Wasp will be written by superstar Marvel mastermind Al Ewing and drawn by Kasia Nee. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. That was... you give me something like that, and I automatically go to Monty Python. I apologize. It could be Nie or it could be Nee. I'm not sure which one, so I apologize either way. Known for her acclaimed work on titles like Mockingbird. Wait, she was on that? Okay. And Age of Conan Belit. Like Ewing's hit Ant-Man series current stands, Wasp will pay tribute to Janet's incredible legacy by shedding new light on her wild Silver Age origin, spotlighting her relationship with the protege Nadia Van Dyne, and paving the way for a brighter future. Probably won't deal with any of that being slapped by Hank Pym stuff, but that's probably for the better. The saga will also directly lead into another Ewing-penned series launching in the new year. Interesting. So yeah, that's cool. I'm looking forward to that. Goes on sale January 18th. Next up.
Boom Studios has announced the artist that will be joining Jason Aaron, colorist Lee Luffridge, and letterer and world design for Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, which is a title that they recently announced that Jason Aaron has brought to Boom Studios. It's a love story at the end of the world. Alexandra Tefenki, who we know from The Good Asian, will be the first artist for the first 5-issue arc. Leila Del Luca will be the artist for the second 5-issue arc. And Nick Dragata will be the artist for the third and final 5-issue arc. So it's a total of 15 issues split up into 3 separate books with different titles. And this is a story that's going to spread out over the course of 2023 and into 2024. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Last but not least, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin collection becomes a New York Times bestseller with first print selling out. IDW Publishing has announced that the hardcover collection of said The Last Ronin has officially landed on the New York Times bestseller list and officially sold out of its initial print run. Excuse me. According to the publisher, the initial printing of 60,000 units hardcover sold out within the first 6 weeks of release. Fans who didn't manage to get a copy, however, will be in luck as an additional 100,000 units have been ordered and will be released in mid-September. When the series first premiered in October 2022, it would lead to over 840,000 units of the individual comics being sold. So, cool. That's good. That was a good series. So,
absolutely. That's good news.
Yeah, definitely.
That's probably, I was about to say that's probably due to a lot of positive word of mouth, because remember, they had a pretty tough publishing schedule towards the end of that, where it was supposed to be bi-monthly, but it took a long time for the last couple of issues of that miniseries to come out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like outside of us, being quite positive about it, I know the couple other people that I know, and I think possibly one person gotten to read it, responded positively to it. So yeah, but I'd safely say recommend it. It's good stuff, especially if you like the turtles. Anyway, folks, that is it for the news. How about one more ad read?
Our last ad read of the night, because it's late and we are tired. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends if you want to pay a little bit more for your Marvel Legends. But on Amazon, sometimes you can get good deals. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through cspn.us. Do it today.
All right, folks, that's it for this here podcast. Thank you for being here. If you happen to be lurking, watching the recording, we appreciate it. Or if you happen to come by later on during the video or the audio, who knows? We appreciate it nonetheless. I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News and Sneed on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. 18_7 you can find on Twitter and Instagram. PC_Dirt you can find at PC_Dirt. You can also find them at PopCultureNetwork.com. You can also find them at PopCultureNet on Twitter and all the umbrella sites they're in.
What the heck is that? What is playing? What? Sorry, guys. There we go. That was weird. Okay. I was just touching my phone. And I was like, wait, something started playing. I started playing a podcast by accident.
See, there you go. But PC_Dirt. Timm, DOTG98 on Twitter. The Osiris Edition. You can also find him at the Kliq Nation on Twitter. You can also find him definitely at CB Cron on Twitter, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account. You can also find him at comicbook.com, where he's over there writing his face off. You can find us on the Coastal of the Podcast Network, that's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
If you're looking for other podcasts to start while you're recording another podcast, you can go to excuse me. Sorry, I got choked up there for a second. Just at CSPN.us. You can also find this on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal of the Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to hit like and subscribe and leave us the good 5-star reviews.
You can also find us recording every Thursday night, normally 9:30ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel of the Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/the Kliq Nation. Kliq Nation, let's get that kind of clear. And the twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to hit like and subscribe and the notification button.
All of that. See you folks next week for another episode of Comic Book Chronicles. We got She-Hulk episode 3. September is happening. So
yeah, we're gonna get more content. We're probably not gonna be covering a lot of the pop culture content. I don't know if Roddykat gonna be following the Rings of Power. I did watch the first episode of House of the Dragon. It was okay, nothing to write home about. So there's gonna be more stuff coming out soon.
I was going to say Dragon Con, and I think Dragon Con, MomoCon, and some other cons are definitely coming before D23. But that's after next weekend because it's Labor Day weekend. Because Dragon Con usually happens on Labor Day weekend. So the week after that, we'll probably have some more. There might be some more anime stuff to talk about. But outside of that, we'll just have the regular stuff we've normally been doing until D23 happens. And with that, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
I love it when a plan comes together.